Alright, so 6163 review here. I personally, for a question like this, would draw. So let's see here. We've got a starting point at 4, -5. And a stopping point at -3, 7. What are the components of that? I've always told you to start with the starting point, make that like a brand new origin. What do you think? How far left would you go? 7. Since it's to the left, that would be a -7, although that doesn't show very well on our screen here. And how far up would you go? 12? Okay. -7 and +12. You're just counting, folks. If you really want to whip out the subtraction and go and do it that way, go for it. But counting works just as well. What's the magnitude? You have to do that. How do I find the magnitude? Nobody knows how to find the length of the hypotenuse of the right triangle. This is Pythagorean Theorem. Very disheartening. Remember that. 7 squared plus 12 squared. Is that 49 plus 144? Is that 193? Okay. I really don't care if you leave it like that. Now, if it was an airplane, I was looking for the speed of the airplane, it's not going to be radical 193. You can actually type that on a calculator and tell me what it is. Okay, but that's for the airplane story problem type stuff. For this, just leave it radical 193 and move on. Okay, question 2. Go. Figure it out. Those of you at home, type it in the chat or write it on your Go Formative. Notes and homework are due tomorrow. Make sure everybody's got that taken care of. Any questions on that one? What? Go ahead, ask again. I didn't hear what you said.
Can you leave it up for 1 second? I'm just trying to.
Sure. Not a problem. Is that what you meant? Okay, we can move on here. Find the unit vector. What is the magnitude of the current vector? What is the magnitude of the current vector that I've been given? Square root of what? 80? Let's see if we agree. 8 squared plus 4 squared. Yeah, that is the square root of 80. Can't deny that. Can you change it to 4 square root 5? Sure. Is it necessary? No. But you can. That's fine if that's what you want to do. I have no problem with that. Okay? At this point, I'm really not trying to test your skills on simplifying radicals. I really want to know what you're going to do with that thing. How do you change this from something that has a length of radical 80, which is almost 9 units long, to something that has only 1 unit long? What do you do with this thing, this radical 80? I know you got it. What do you do with the radical 80? How do you shorten it down into something that only has... do we do with it? We divide, which is what we told you in your notes. Hopefully, now you can either write it like this, or you can, write something like this, but you better end up with something like this. Now, if you do the whole 4 radical 5 thing, you lose. Okay, if you feel like rationalizing it, go for it. I really don't. It's really not concerning me if you rationalize it or simplify radicals. I'm just looking to see, hey, did they divide by the magnitude? Now what? I need to find the components. Give me an idea what I'm going to do here to start. I got the magnitude 56. I've got the angle 104. Okay, so when you say subtract from 180, I'm guessing that you're looking at this triangle right here and trying to find this angle right there. That's true. So if I take 180 and subtract 104, what is that? 76 degrees. And we know that the hypotenuse of this thing is 56. Find the components. Find the components. So if you did the first one, it automatically spit out the negative for you. If you did the second one, you had to add a negative on the x because you're in quadrant 2. I personally like the second one only because it's more useful to other situations. The first one, however, does go straight to the answer on this question. Okay. Question 5. Find the magnitude. I'll do the magnitude. You work on the direction. But everybody in the room should probably grab the doggone thing first. So negative 15, 8. So something like this. So I'll work on the magnitude. You work on the direction. Magnitude should be easy for you. Oh yeah. 225 plus 64. So square root of 289 is 17. I think your idea of tangent inverse is going to come in handy now, Mr. Frank. Okay, so what's a good idea for this one?
I was looking at the wrong question. I was thinking about given 2 points, not given an angle and the magnitude.
So those of you who are doing tangent inverse of 8 over 15 and you got your 28.1 degrees. That is awesome. But that is not the answer to the question. 28.1 is right here. The direction is right there. So you must use your 28.1 to answer your question. What are you going to do with it? Subtract it from 180. There you go. Mr. Lane, what'd you get? 151.9 degrees. That's the answer we want right there. The picture helps me identify which quadrant I'm in. We talked about what happens if you're in quadrant 3. Then you would take the 28.1 and you would add it to 180. What happens if I'm in quadrant 4? I would take 28.1 and subtract from 360. Look at the picture to help you know what to do with the 28.1. If you're in quadrant 1, You don't have to do anything. 28.1 will work. Definitely need a picture here. So the bearing scale, as a reminder, remember you got 0, 90, 180, 270. Goes in a clockwise fashion. I've got a bearing of 310 degrees for the airplane. So the airplane, let's see, 90, 180, 270, 310s. Airplane's going that way. What's the angle inside here? If this is 310 degrees, what's the angle inside there? 40? You are correct, right? 310 take away 270 is 40. Before we go any further, can you give me a vector for the airplane? Give me a vector, and we do know that the speed of this is 330, so there's your magnitude. Give me a vector for that airplane, please. Go. How'd you figure it out? Negative 20. Yep, there's the speed is 20 miles an hour, so that's like the magnitude. Good. Negative 20 cosine 30. That is true. 20 sine 30. That is also true. So there's your wind. So we got the wind, and we got the plane. It would be really nice if we could add these things together. In other words, we're finding, this is going to be hard for me to draw because these things are so close together. We're trying to find the resultant vector, which is the plane and the wind combined together. Negative 330 cosine 40 minus 20 cosine 30. So when I did this, my calculator said that the x component was negative 270.1. We'll just go to the nearest tenth for ease of typing. What do you think could be a super fatal mistake in doing this? Are there? What? Multiplying x's and y's together? Sure. Typing sine when I should have typed cosine? One of those kind of things? Putting the wrong angle in, like I copied the angle from the plane over to the wind or whatever? How about leaving my calculator in radian mode when it should be in degree mode? That would be a pretty bad one. But you might see that one pretty quickly, you know? 222.1. Did I type that right? 330 sine 40 plus 20 sine 30. Did somebody double check me on that to make sure my numbers were correct? You got slightly different ones? I need to double check that to make sure. You got the same thing? Okay, Make sure your calculator's in the right mode, for one. Just double check. Be very careful as you type it in. I worried about the x's first and then the y's second. If I need to come over and take a look at it, I will. Now, ground speed. Isn't this the magnitude of the new vector? Okay, we can do that. Abbreviated ground speed. Magnitude. (270.1 squared plus 2.1 squared). Take the square root of that mess. So I'm going to let it go to 2.42. And when I got done, I had 349.7. Does that make sense that the wind was pushing behind my plane? Now, it's not quite 350. My plane was traveling 330. Why wasn't it 350? What? The angle is not exactly the same. It's a little bit off, so it's not exactly pushing me in the same direction. It's close. Okay, so we've got the magnitude or the ground speed. What about the bearing? I've got the components of the green triangle right there. I better find this angle inside there. Yeah, we'll use tangent inverse like we've done before, right? Tangent inverse, you got the opposite side is your 222.1. Your adjacent side is the 270.1. Don't need to worry about the negatives. So tangent inverse 222.1 divided by 270.1. Got 39.4. Is that the bearing? No? Okay. Add that to 270. According to the picture, it's past the 270 mark. So we have to add the 270 and that, and we get what? Is that 319.4? The 309.4. 309.4. Does it make sense that that's really close to 310? But it's not quite because the vector doesn't have the same angle. The wind doesn't have the exact same angle. So it will change it a little bit. Question? You're just using the Pythagorean Theorem, so 270.1 squared plus 222.1 squared. So I'm just doing that to find that. Yeah, I did the Pythagorean Theorem. Ooh, that's not a good thing. Yeah, you got a super fast plane, didn't you? Yes, very fast.